But if they want to come out there, I mean, they're going to want to do something like pretty cool. And it's like you might be able to own maybe a little bit more high value cars in an area where it's like, there's just really good scenes and scenic areas, or influencers want to go to do cool shit. I have another one off location too. Have you worked with a client in Hawaii?
No, I've never worked
Really?
with anyone in Hawaii yet.
I'd be so curious on how you would configure Hawaii, because there's like a limitation on a lot of resources, including mechanics, importing stuff.
It's true.
But there's a lot of people that come on vacation there. I just wasn't sure if you like ever looked into it, and maybe not for you personally, but if you've ever had anybody that's like, hey man, like I'm out here and I have like a little bit of money because I live here, like they did well and they would want to do something like that, because I actually struggled looking for a car out there. So
Yeah, I know there's people that do pretty well in Hawaii from talking to other hosts, and they rent a lot of Jeep Wranglers. I know another guy in Colorado. He has a fleet of all Jeep Wranglers. He has 100 of them, and just buys the same exact car every single time because that's what does well. But yeah, Hawaii would be interesting. I probably wouldn't want to ship somebody a car to Hawaii. I don't think I could make them much money doing that. I don't know if I could get the prices low enough to make that make sense.
Yeah, I think the expense would be incredibly high.
Probably has to. I guarantee it's over $3,000 to put a car there.
how
Maybe
about
more.
how about other countries? Is there Turo in other countries? Because I've never actually looked.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
I
we
did.
had one client in Canada, but that's as far as we've gone so far.
Okay.
But I believe they are in Europe too.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely more prevalent here in the States right now.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like I had another question about the LLC thing, but it's gone. What I just want to jump to this because I know this is a loaded question, but what's the craziest story you have from this whole past 4 years?
All right. I have a few, honestly. They're all
Let 'em
crazy
all
for
rip.
different reasons.
Let 'em
man.
all rip.
So last year, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was laying down next to my wife in bed, just laying in my boxers, and I hear somebody pounding on my door, like aggressively. And I'm like, who the hell could this be?
Yeah.
And then they do it again, and I'm like, okay, I get it into kind of like defense mode. I'm like, is somebody like trying to break into my house? But why would they knock? But it wasn't like a knock. Someone said they were trying to kick the door in. I go to the door, and it's the police. So I open it in my boxers, so it's kind of weird. I actually recognized the guy. He was my dad's neighbor, which was really weird. It took him a minute to notice me since he didn't see me since I was like a kid. Anyways, he asked me about a Nissan Rogue that was in a robbery. And he gave me the license plate. I'm like, yeah, that's my car. And then he's like, where were you there? And I'm like, hey, man, I have a rental car company. My LLC is registered to my house, so I guess that's how they came to my house and found it. They showed me video. The guy took the Nissan Rogue. He wrapped around a chain to one of the outdoor ATMs, and he ripped it right out of the wall and loaded it in the back of the Nissan Rogue.
No shit.
Wow.
So then I had to sit down with the police, go through all the trips this guy had. This guy rented 5 different cars from me, and apparently they were all in a different theft or robbery.
No shit.
He wasn't going out killing people. He was just going on a massive robbery thing. But what's crazy about it, every time this guy returned the cars, they were in perfect condition. he swept them out better than anybody I've ever had. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe this car was even in this situation because he was a great guest. I gave him all 5 stars. They forced me to call Turo though, and then they had to do a police report. And what was helpful, hopefully this guy's not listening to this, but since the GPS trackers, they have history in them, so I was able to show the police where the car was the last 72 hours, and it shows all stops and everything like that. That was one though, which I thought it was really interesting to rent a car to use for robberies, but apparently that's really common for.
I have heard
thieves.
people doing that. Yeah. I've heard those stories. Yeah.
But I don't think they realize it's still under their name unless you
Yeah.
rent it with a fake license or something. But I don't know.
Yeah. There's a very detailed paper trail there.
Yeah. Then just recently, this was about 2 months ago, we had a car that was in a shooting, they said, and we had to go to the tow yard, which I hate doing that, man. You go into McGann and Chester's, all these places, they're not the most fun people to deal with.
Oh, I doubt. I've never experienced that myself, but I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, the tow yards are interesting. They're all pretty grimy, a little sleazy. They're all trying to charge you as much as possible to get your car out.
Yeah.
That's a crazy industry, but good. They won't tell you anything about the car until you go to see it because they're too lazy to go walk. Maybe send you a picture. They don't care. But anyways, go to it. and there was a bullet hole in the seat and blood all on the driver's seat. And apparently, police like shot this guy in the head that was in my car.
Oh, holy
And
Dude.
seats were covered in blood, and it's crazy. Turo wouldn't total it, so we just had to get the seat replaced, even though it was human waste technically. But I didn't have a guy working at that time, so I just grabbed a towel, I threw it over the seats. And I mean, the blood was all dry. I covered it. And I got it, and I just drove it back because I'm like, I'm not paying another like $400 to get this thing towed right now.
Oh my God.
That's like some shit out of Pulp Fiction, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus, bro.
That's pretty gross. But then we just but if you know how to navigate insurance, there's a lot of money in this business because I got a new seat, like a refurbished one for $200. Like it was $300 to install it.
Yeah.
I got like a $3,000 insurance check from it.
Oh.
So, but I wanted a little bit more for that, honestly. How
Yeah.
they said the human blood.
Yeah. Emotional
That
distress.
claim, yeah.
Yeah.
To claim there's trauma, you're having to clean out a body part,
That was another one. This one's interesting. So if you guys ever rent a car and somebody leaves fentanyl in it, that they'll actually total it for that because they said that was a biohazard because if somebody touched it, they could die. Because I guess
Wow.
it can get absorbed through your skin.
Yes,
So we had
yes, it
somebody, the car was like loaded with fentanyl. And we had to call the police, file a report. Then they actually totaled it out, even though there was nothing mechanically wrong with this thing, which I thought was insane.
That's crazy.
I was happy that we got the car for like $7,000 and they gave me 14 for it. So I was like, all right.
Damn.
So there's money in getting the cars totaled.
Yeah. It seems that way.
And then early on in my career, so this is when I was doing private rentals. I still do them from time to time, depending on the customer and their insurance. But I rented it to like a sweet old lady, right? She's like 60-something-year-old, 65-year-old woman. Seemed really nice, really respectful. She rented through me from Turo a couple times before. Signed a contract, drove the car. She made payment. Then she stopped making payment, right? So I reach out to her. I'm like, hey, what's going on? You've been good for the last month. Are you having issues with the invoices? And I could tell she was looking at the invoice but not paying it. She tells me she has cancer and she's going to her cancer treatments. And I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit bad. I'm like, I'll give you like a week. Well, a week goes by. She doesn't respond. Then says the cancer thing again. Then I explain, well, we have to get paid. I can give you, another week, blah, blah. Well, then I start following her on the GPS. She's not going to any cancer treatment. She's going to really sketchy areas in, what is the place up north? Butler.
Okay.
Butler County's weird, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's a weird place.
Yeah.
So not to insult anybody listening from Butler, but anyways, see her up there, and then I start looking at her Facebook and social media because I'm thinking, okay, I need to repossess the car. Well, she's a drug addict, and she's posting, like, doing drugs on social media. She looks out of her mind. So they call the police on her just to say, like, hey, I want to file a report. The car's taken. They tell me it's a civil matter. There's nothing they can do. And they say this after I tell them the name of the renter. And then I find out later, after this whole story was over, that she had family members that were in the police in that area. So I think Butler's kind of like a town we look out for our own.
Wow.
The city slicker's trying to get his car back. And I'm like, well, I can prove it's my car. I have the title. It's all registered to me. I have an agreement. They don't want to look at any of that. And then I go to look at my GPS because I'm ready to shut the car off. And then it's not showing up anymore. So I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? Is it a technical error? I call the GPS company I use. They say this thing was disabled. So she was a professional. She had to remove this thing because we hide them and hardwire them in the car. This would take like the average a mechanic even like an hour to remove. So that means she was a professional like car thief. So now she has my car. The police aren't willing to help me at all. I know it's probably in the Butler area, but I'm not completely sure. So I'm thinking, like, what the hell do I do right now? Like, she has like my $10,000 of mine pretty much on the road, and she's gonna probably destroy it. So I thought about it. I was like, should I drive out there and repossess it myself? And I'm like, let's make a few calls first. So called one guy. He goes to tow up the car. She jumps in it while he's doing it, and then he just leaves and won't help me. So now she's alerted, right? So I'm like, oh man, like what do I do? She knows I'm trying to get the car back. And the tow guy said because of PA laws, like he wasn't able to, for some reason, take it if they jump in. I don't know the specifics on why. Mm-hmm. But my wife finds this guy who reminds me of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yep.
You guys ever see him? Like Dog? Yeah. we hired this guy. I don't want to get into the specifics, but anyways, he jumps into this car when she's there. I don't know if he wrestled any keys or anything. I don't know how this happened, but he got the car, he brought it back, and I got my car back. And couldn't believe it. I had to pay the guy like $1,000, but it was definitely worth it for what he did. And this car came back, man, the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.